Hello and welcome to Vital Signs. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Adding to your family has always involved a bit of mystery. Will it be a boy? Will it be a girl? We know the science exists to help select sex, but now gender selection is more accurate than ever, going from novel to more mainstream. The technology was originally created to identify embryos with genetic diseases, but critics are troubled by the use of this technology for a non-medical reason. Some say even preventing genetic disorders manipulates Mother Nature. So where do we draw the line? The rapid growth of genetic technology is changing the practice of medicine and also presenting some complex practice decisions. So we're going to introduce you to some families who are making reproductive decisions that weren't even possible 20 years ago. What would you choose?
I was put on this earth to be a mother. I knew that always. I've always knew I was going to be a mother.
But this was a long road for you.
Absolutely. It was a very long journey. Here we go.
2 years ago, before baby Morgan was born, Steve and Melissa had baby Walker, who experienced health problems just hours after birth.
How did they tell you, or what did they tell you initially?
You're in for a roller coaster ride. I think at that time they knew what the end was going to be, but
They suspected,
and I'm fairly certain they knew at that point in time that it was not going to be a long term.
he wasn't going to live long.
Walker never made it out of the hospital. He died when he was just 19 days old. But their worst nightmare was not yet over. Doctors told them Walker died from a genetic disorder called OTC, and it was carried over from Melissa's X chromosome. Any future children would have a 50% chance of the same condition.
They gave us several options. Obviously you could try this naturally again and roll the dice. To me, PGD was the only option, and it was never a should we, shouldn't we. It was, okay, we're gonna.
Pre-implantation genetic diagnosis.
Yes.
Embryos 2 and 7 have the mutation and shouldn't be transferred. The frustrations that I had was that I would meet with couples all the time who just found out that they had a baby with a serious inherited disease.
Geneticist Dr. Mark Hughes channeled this frustration into a search for alternatives.
These poor couples were basically faced with throwing the genetic dice, hoping against hopes the dice don't come up the wrong way. And so we imagined making the diagnosis before they got pregnant even in the first place, which was science fiction at the time.
It was 20 years ago. That science fiction turned into fact. Embryos could now be tested for genetic disease.
We all have these things in our DNA that we're not aware of until out of the blue they strike our family. This is a normal embryo that's unaffected, okay?
Right.
PGD requires the couple go through the in vitro fertilization process, normally used for fertility issues. But in PGD, before transferring fertilized embryos back into the uterus, they are tested to avoid those that test positive for the inherited disease.
All right, so embryo 1 looks good.
Dr. Hughes' lab is one of just a handful around the world that does the testing. In vitro happens for the couple at their local fertility clinic. From there, a single cell is extracted from each embryo by a tiny straw, 1/25th the diameter of a human hair, and express shipped to Dr. Hughes in the U.S. state of Michigan.
Technology allowed us to test the smallest unit of life, one cell, for the smallest unit of inheritance, one gene, for the smallest possible part of a gene.
The team then has less than 24 hours to sequence each embryo cell's DNA so the ones free of disease can be put in the waiting woman's uterus. Baby Morgan is the result of PGD, a healthy embryo that Dr. Hughes was able to select for transfer.
Did you ever think, okay, you know what, I don't want to do anything that tinkers with Mother Nature in any way?
I never had any moral concerns about it. I look at it that there are people that have been blessed with the ability to come up with this research, that, it's not an accident that people have gotten to this point.
You said, obviously, you wouldn't ever use this technology, PGD, to do anything beyond creating a healthy child. What about people who do?
Other than health, I think it's just a lot of expense for a little bit of frill.
But there are some families who can afford what might seem like a bit of frill.
We looked at each other and said, wow, if we've been trying for multiple years to have another child and sort of gambling, well, why don't we go ahead and make it so that we do have a boy?
Bob and Mindy had 4 daughters, but felt their family wasn't complete. Using PGD, the couple was able to choose the sex of their child, resulting in twin boys. Now, gender selection is controversial and is banned in most countries. It is legal in the United States, but critics worry it could lead to designer babies based on societal preference.
Okay.
We feel that as technology advances and we can take advantage to enhance our lives and the lives of others, it's a good thing.
So here we've got a healthy boy, and here we've got a healthy girl.
Los Angeles fertility specialist Dr. Jeffrey Steinberg says many of his American clients are like Bob and Mindy. They're in search of family balancing. Gender selection uses PGD technology to extract that single cell from each embryo. The cells are then studied under a high-powered fluorescent microscope to determine their gender. Dr. Steinberg says 70% of his patients are international, seeking the procedure that's banned in their home country.
If anything, there's a slight preponderance of preference for female. And this is contrary to everything that's publicized. And clearly it varies by country. China strongly in favor of boys, as we would suspect. India strongly in favor of boys. But when you look at the world in general, it's 50-50. I say to critics that the last thing in the world that you want to do is put the handcuffs on science. We've been giving women expanded reproductive choices for 50 years, and this is another choice.
Do we have the data on the Toronto couple?
Dr. Hughes, who's the creator of PGD technology, has concerns about its use for a non-medical purpose.
It definitely is an expanded reproductive choice. The question is it medicine? Is it something that doctors should be involved in?
She is cute.
Yeah,
So
she's
you're gonna-
our miracle.
Yeah.
And her middle name is Grace, and I truly believe by the grace of God that this is how we have her.
A little girl, undeniably also made possible by genetics, a field moving at such a rapid pace that the possibilities and the ethical debates seem endless.
The future of medical technology is going to challenge all of us to make some difficult decisions. So would you choose the gender of your baby if you could? Here's some thoughts from around the world.
Why create robots? Some people enjoy creating themselves, their own image. This is a live being. Everything about it is unexpected. It's alive, it's beautiful, and unpredictable. It's more interesting to live this way.
If it is safe, I will choose a boy because I like boy, and because in Chinese, boy is very important than girl, and that's what I choose.
You spoil the surprise. It's like opening a present under the tree before Christmas Day. You need, let it pop out and see what it is.